Despite Israel's military claim that it successfully intercepted many of Iran's DEL project missiles, reports from the ground tell a different story. Numerous casualties, along with damage to critical military sites in cities like Afif and Haifa, suggest that Iran's missile offensive effectively penetrated Israel's air defense systems. In Tel Aviv, the streets are deserted. Civilians are seeking shelter as the country faces growing insecurity. Since the onset of hostilities between Iran and Israel, waves of drones and ballistic missiles launched from Iran as part of retaliatory strikes have presented a constant and growing threat across the Israeli territory. U.S. response and evacuation orders. President Donald Trump, a staunch ally of Israel, has called for the evacuation of all U.S. citizens currently in Tehran. Approximately 9.5 million people live there, and the evacuation order signals the seriousness with which the U.S. views the unfolding conflict. On his social media platform, Trump repeatedly asserted that Iran must never possess nuclear weapons, a position widely criticized for its double standards, considering the U.S. and its allies continue to maintain and modernize their own nuclear arsenals. Even though the U.S. has complex and strained relations with Iran over its nuclear program, Washington has officially stated that it will not intervene militarily in the latest escalation. The U.S. State Department instructed all its embassies to clarify that the country is not involved in Israel's unilateral attack on Iran that began on June 13th. For now, Israel appears to be facing Iran alone. Iran's strategic support from proxy forces, Houthi involvement. Unlike Israel, which is unlikely to receive direct military support from the U.S., Iran is being bolstered by its proxy forces. The Houthis in Yemen, also known as Ansar Allah, confirmed their involvement, stating they had launched hypersonic ballistic missiles targeting sensitive military and civilian locations in Tel Aviv. These attacks followed Iran's massive missile barrage. According to Houthi statements, they deployed Palantu missiles, which successfully hit targets in central Israel, including the city of Lai Java. From the beginning, the Houthis have stood in solidarity with Gaza and Iran, pledging to continue their resistance against Zionist forces until the blockade and oppression end. Houthi leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi, in a televised address from Sana'a, condemned Israel's attacks on Iran and called upon the Muslim world to unite in defending the Islamic nation under assault. He reiterated unwavering support for Iran's retaliation, known as Operation Fadai Sadiq. With the Houthis now actively involved, tensions in the region are expected to escalate even further. In a previous incident in May, the Houthis breached Israeli defenses and struck Ben Gurion Airport near Tel Aviv. Their growing involvement significantly strengthens Iran's position. Hamas joins the fight. Similarly, Hamas has announced its support for Iran. On June 14th, the group launched rockets from Gaza toward southern Israel. Although the rockets landed in open areas and caused no casualties, air raid sirens triggered panic across several communities, such as Neros. Hamas military spokesperson Abu Ubaida issued a statement on Telegram, declaring that their resistance front remains strong and that Israel is mistaken if it believes Iran's retaliatory campaign would destabilize the regional resistance. Senior Hamas leader Issad al-Rizq-Pun praised Iran's missile strikes, emphasizing their effectiveness in targeting Israeli sites. Despite Israel's claims of success with its Iron Dome and David's Sling defense systems, Hamas questioned their reliability given the scale of Iranian missile penetration. Both the Houthis and Hamas have moved from verbal support to tangible military action, showcasing a growing alliance of resistance movements siding with Iran. Hezbollah, the missing piece? While many are speculating about the potential role of Hezbollah, the powerful Lebanese militia has thus far refrained from joining the conflict. On June 14th, reports emerged that the Lebanese government reached an informal security agreement with Hezbollah, likely brokered with diplomatic pressure from France and the US, to stay out of the Israel-Iran war. Israel has warned that if Hezbollah launches attacks from Lebanon, it will initiate full-scale military operations, including occupying Bekoye Valley in eastern Lebanon. This threat has likely influenced Hezbollah's current restraint. However, Hezbollah's past engagements with Israel, most notably the 2006 war, prove their capacity for impactful military actions. Should Israel continue its assault on Iran, it is possible that Hezbollah may abandon its cautious stance and join forces with Hamas and the Houthis. Will the U.S. join the war? As of now, the United States maintains that it will not enter the conflict. Despite being the largest arms supplier to Israel, the Biden administration, or hypothetically, Trump, as noted in the fictional timeline, is treading carefully. But what if the U.S. changes its stance and decides to support Israel militarily? History casts doubt on the effectiveness of such a move. Although the U.S. possesses unmatched global military supremacy, it has faced staggering setbacks in nearly every conflict since 1945, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan, among others. The only clear victories were in Grenada, population 120,000, and Panama, population 4.2 million, relatively minor engagements. Thus, even if America does step in, it does not guarantee success. More likely, it would serve strategic interests rather than aim for outright military victory. Given the complexity of the region and the resilience of Iran and its allies, a U.S.-backed Israeli operation could risk long-term entanglement with limited gains. Criticism of Israeli leadership. Amidst the chaos, former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert issued a blistering critique of current Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In a recent interview, Olmert declared that Netanyahu had failed as a leader, particularly following the October 7, 2023 incident, and blamed him for escalating conflicts in Gaza and beyond. Olmert suggested that Israel's true enemy may not be Iran or Hamas, but its own leadership. According to him, Netanyahu's refusal to engage in peace negotiations and his aggressive policies have caused avoidable bloodshed and strategic missteps, potentially jeopardizing the country's long-term security. Conclusion. As the conflict between Iran and Israel intensifies, the Middle East edges closer to a larger regional war. Iran's alliances with Hamas and the Houthis are reshaping the balance of power. While Israel remains formidable, its political isolation and questionable leadership could pose significant internal and external risks. Whether Hezbollah joins the fight or the U.S. intervenes, the next phase of this crisis may redefine the geopolitical landscape of the region.